Elizabeth Warren endorsed Hillary Clinton last night on Rachel Maddow's show. I want to watch some parts of it here with you guys and break it down.
The Republicans have had a real advantage over us for a long time. And the principal advantage they have had is they have concentrated money and concentrated power. And boy, when it's all concentrated, man, you can organize it, you can use it, you can get out there, you can run those negative ads, you can be effective, you can put money into campaigns. What do we got on our side? Yeah, we got some money, some, and people put money in. But the reality is what we've got all the votes. We've got all the voices. There are so many more people on our side. And I'm not just talking Democrats here. You talk about those core issues, about Social Security, about college, about raising the minimum wage, about reining in Wall Street. You look at those core issues, and somewhere between 60% and 75% of all of America. That's Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians, vegetarians. They sign up and say, yeah, I'm for that. So the question is then, Rachel, why hasn't that happened? So why hasn't it happened? And the answer is because Washington, this place where we are right now, it is the bubble. It's the bubble that's created by the money. It is the bubble that is created by the contributions, by the lobbyists, by every part of this tight little circle. Our only chance to break out of that is that we got to say, against your concentrated money and power, we're going to put up our voices and our votes, and we're going to be here. We're going to be here in these elections, and we're going to make sure that the people who run for office and get elected are the ones who are going to work for the American people. That's what this is all about.
Who are you kidding, Liz? Seriously, who are you kidding? You should have endorsed Bernie. I mean, for all the Bernie supporters who are disappointed in her, you're right. I'm one of them. This is for you to go out there and use the language, not only the language of Bernie Sanders, because to be honest and fair and accurate here, she's been using that language for a long time too. In fact, there was a debate, as Rachel Maddow pointed out at a different point in the interview, between whether or not this is the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party or the Elizabeth Warren wing of the Democratic Party. Like, that's how much of a progressive lion she's been all along, and she does have a stellar record on that front. But for you to go out there and keep using that language when it is abundantly clear based on the facts and the policy positions that Hillary Clinton is not the candidate that most embodies these things you're talking about, it honestly insults our intelligence. Like, how stupid do you think we are? Now, we covered the story the other day. I read an article. I learned a fact that I didn't know beforehand, which is that Elizabeth Warren was the only female member in Congress, in the Senate. I'm not sure if it was the Senate or all of Congress, but to not endorse Hillary Clinton. So believe me, I think there was a lot of internal pressure from all the other female politicians who were like, really, this is what you're going to do? The first time that a woman has a real shot of winning, you're not going to fucking endorse her? What's wrong with you? So they looked at her like, oh, you're betraying us. And they viewed her like, oh, you're going to stick to this ideology and purism and you don't want to deviate from that. And she remained neutral until now, which she views as the very end, even though it's not the very end, because Hillary Clinton's under FBI investigation and she could get indicted, and she hasn't hit the required number of delegates yet to lock down the nomination. Superdelegates could still flip. Highly unlikely scenario, but that could happen. So she waited a long time, and now she endorses Hillary Clinton. But look, it really is a slap in the face to use that language about, oh, big money's corrupting our politics, and that's the Republicans and what they've done, when we all know, anybody who looks at the numbers knows that Hillary Clinton is also massively corrupted by big money. I mean, in the fucking campaign, Bernie brought to everybody's attention. Now, we knew this beforehand, but of course we do it for a living, so not many other people knew it, but the fact that Hillary Clinton got $675,000 from Goldman Sachs to give a few speeches. You don't get that money because they like your stance on abortion. They give you that money because they're buying access. So if/when you get elected, hey, I gave you that money, so you're going to answer my phone call, and look at that, I slipped in an extra loophole or, a subsidy or something to help Goldman Sachs because they scratch my back, so I scratch their back. So you have Hillary Clinton, who is a candidate of Wall Street. You have Hillary Clinton, who is a product of big money. We know that she flipped on bills because of money. She used to be for single-payer healthcare. Now she's not. Well, what's one of the things that happened in between her being for it and then against it? She took a lot of money from the health insurance industry. So Elizabeth Warren herself was the one who told us the story about the bankruptcy bill, about how Hillary Clinton at one time was against this bankruptcy bill that buys the laws in favor of big corporations, and she successfully convinced Hillary to tell her husband, who was the president at the time, don't sign this bill. But then when Hillary Clinton ran for Senate and she won and she took money from big corporations, all of a sudden flipped on the same bill. Now she's for the bankruptcy bill that biases the rules in favor of corporations. It was Elizabeth Warren who told us this. This is how we know it. I think it was on Bill Moyer's show years back. She said it. And now for you to go out there and use these arguments as if Hillary Clinton is not a product of the same system, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not making the argument that Hillary Clinton is as bad as Donald Trump. I don't think that's true, and I have a million reasons why, and we could talk about that. But when you had the option of picking Bernie Sanders, who's obviously better on these issues, and you didn't, well, now it's hard to take you as seriously as I did before because it's just disingenuous to say, oh, the Republicans and their big money and they're the problem and I'm endorsing Hillary Clinton, who's also fucking part of the problem. Maybe not as big a part of the problem. Maybe she's better on social issues. She's better on the Supreme Court. She's also just overall a more sane person than Donald Trump. I'll give you all of that. But you can't pretend she's not part of the same problem. She is part of the same problem. And it is disappointing. Now, again, I urge everybody to look at all the facts on this too, though, and understand that it still is true that Elizabeth Warren is significantly more progressive than Hillary Clinton, and I say that because of her record. So I feel like a lot of people now are trying to, like, they're just calling Elizabeth Warren a sellout as if that's the end of the conversation. I don't think that's the end of the conversation. I think it's egregious, and I think it's a slap in the face to progressives that she didn't endorse Bernie Sanders. But I also think you have to take her record into account and understand that, for example, she's the reason we have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I literally have more money in my pocket because of Elizabeth Warren. Some terrible, sleazy company sold me identity theft protection that literally did nothing. It did nothing. And Elizabeth Warren came around, regulated this system, and said, oh, that does nothing, so now you're going to have to give a rebate to everybody who you fucking stole money from. So she still is way more progressive than Hillary Clinton, but understand, for everybody who thought she was just Bernie Sanders beforehand, like myself, she's not. She's a watered-down version of Bernie Sanders, and that's the harsh truth about it. Now, finally, what's all this really about? Well, let's watch one more clip, and then I'll tell you.
And I know you're not seeking the job, and I know you love being a senator. But if you were asked to be Secretary Clinton's running mate, do you believe you could do it? And by that, I mean the most important job of being a vice president is to be ready to be president if, God forbid, something happened to the commander-in-chief. I know you don't want the job, but do you believe you would be capable of stepping into that job and doing that job if you were ever called to do it? Because, and I ask you because Ed Rendell, former DNC chairman, former Pennsylvania governor, said recently that you were not in any way, shape, or form ready to be commander-in-chief. I want to know if you think you could be.
Yes, I did.
Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, making this endorsement for the first time tonight, Hillary Clinton for president.
Of course she wants VP. Of course she does. Now, I had my theory that she cut a deal. Hillary Clinton asked Elizabeth Warren for her endorsement a long time ago. She said no to that. That's obvious because she didn't endorse her a long time ago in like the beginning or the middle of the primary. Then she moved the goalpost to, all right, Hillary said, let me like get your neutrality. What do I need to do to get your neutrality so you don't endorse Bernie? And Elizabeth Warren, I thought, said, I need some position in your administration if you win that's where I can actually make a difference. Again, I don't know what that position would be, but that was my theory, that it was some sort of position where she feels like she could do even more good than she's doing right now. But now, after watching that clip, I think, no, she does want to be VP. Now, I got to bring up one more theory here that a few people actually tweeted at me yesterday that it didn't occur to me. But it's an interesting theory that I want to float. I'm not sure I believe it, but it's just something that's food for thought. Some people are saying, what if she's doing this like Trojan horse jujitsu move where, so she waited, she didn't endorse Hillary early on, but obviously now she did when she feels like it's totally over. And what if the idea is she's doing this, auditioning for VP, attacking Trump, really trying to make a case to Hillary Clinton and make Hillary Clinton think like, oh no, she's totally team me and my flavor of Democrat. But in reality, she's doing that to try to get into this position of power, VP, so that she can have much more influence over the office, kind of like a Dick Cheney move. You know how Dick Cheney, he was the head of Bush's VP committee where he's supposed to pick the vice president, and then at the end of it, he's like, I got an idea, how about me? And Bush, being Bush, was like, sure, Dick. Well, the idea is kind of like that. Like, okay, no, that Elizabeth Warren, because her record shows she's very progressive, almost like Bernie Sanders. So what if this is a Trojan horse jujitsu move where it's like, she's going to try to get the VP pick by making it seem like I'm super pro-Hillary, and then when she gets into power as VP, she really does pull more strings around her and find a way to make the administration significantly more progressive than it would be if she wasn't there. And she's doing it because there was a two-pronged attack here. One was the Bernie Sanders revolution, where we try to get Bernie Sanders elected, and the other is, if that fails, we want to have a fallback plan. The fallback plan is to have Elizabeth Warren in a high position of power and authority as VP, where Hillary Clinton might not even notice it, but she is affecting policy in a variety of different ways. And as I've always said, man, for Hillary, like, if it's going to be Hillary and that's it, of course you would want somebody around her who is massively progressive. I don't buy the argument that you would want somebody less progressive because what? It would just solidify how shitty Hillary is? We already know how shitty Hillary is. So you would want somebody more progressive because wouldn't you want that voice in the room anyway when Hillary's talking about, hey, let's go into Syria and ground invade? Don't you want somebody to be like, whoa, what the fuck? What are you saying? So again, I don't know if I believe that theory, and it is a far-fetched theory, but the only evidence in its favor is Elizabeth Warren's record. Because overall, when you look at what she's done, it is much more in alignment with Bernie Sanders than Hillary Clinton's.